All right, you guys, check this out. Time Magazine just went and named Donald Trump their 2024 Person of the Year. I mean, is it really shocking at this point? I don't know. But we're going way deeper than just the headline, all right. We got the Time article itself, obviously. But we also found some pretty heated discussions on Reddit about this, and even some coverage of Trump at the New York Stock Exchange right after it all dropped. So strap in, everybody. We're going deep on what this choice really tells us about Trump, about the media, and, yeah, about the whole state of American politics right now.
You know, it is kind of fascinating how Time frames this whole thing. Like, their Person of the Year. It's not about celebrating the person, right? It's about recognizing the person who, for better or worse, shaped the whole year's news the most. And they're really upfront about that, which I kind of respect.
Yeah, for sure. They have gotten a lot of flack over some of their picks, especially in the past. I mean, Hitler in 38, Stalin twicey. But it's always been about impact. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not about if Time agrees with them or endorses them. So how does Time handle Trump this time around?
It's surprisingly nuanced, honestly. Like, remember, Time has been pretty critical of Trump, in their coverage over the years. This article, though, it's different. It strikes a much more neutral tone, which is interesting. One thing they highlight that's pretty big is Trump's intention to pardon everyone involved in the January 6th Capitol riot. If he gets back into the White House, obviously. I mean, that's a huge issue statement right there. They also go into his 72 Days of Fury campaign strategy, which, essentially involved just flooding the media landscape with rallies and appearances constantly.
Right, for those who aren't, following every twist and turn of the campaign. 72 Days of Fury was basically Trump's plan for that final stretch before the election. Yeah. All about overwhelming the media with, just him, basically, so he could try to control the narrative and energize his base. It definitely kept things chaotic, that's for sure.
Yeah, total chaos. And this Time article dives into some of his more eyebrow-raising comments, too, honestly. Like, when he claimed that he can just tell if someone's loyal, like, he doesn't need some kind of pledge or anything. It's like he thinks he's got some sort of loyalty radar or something. What do you make of that?
It's a boldy statement, that's for sure. Yeah, and it makes you wonder, right? Like, does it speak to a deeper, maybe a deeper distrust or even paranoia, which has become kind of a hallmark of his political style?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one, I think. It really does make you think about how we assess loyalty in this day and age, especially in politics, right? Now, Times editor, he said something pretty striking, I thought. He said that Trump, quote, reshaped the American presidency and IS reordering American politics, end quote. Do you buy that? Do you think that's accurate?
Well, it's hard to argue that Trump hasn't had a major impact, Even his critics would probably admit that much. But reordering American politics, I think that's something we really need to unpack carefully, don't you?
Totally agree. And that's where those Reddit threads come in, actually. We've got two totally opposite viewpoints here, which is fascinating. First, we went into the pro-Trump subreddit, and, well, let's just say they were pretty thrilled with this Time cover.
Thrilled might even be an understatement there. We saw comments like, the tears being shed, finally they got it right. I mean, it's crystal clear that they see this as a huge validation for Trump and his supporters, right?
For sure. It totally reinforces their whole view that Trump's this powerful figure and the establishment, they can't ignore him, basically. Then on the other side of the spectrum, we checked out the general political discussion subreddit and, well, let's just say the reaction was a bit different there.
Yeah, it was a lot frostier over there, that's for sure. We saw people talking about how Time was engaging in journalistic malpractice and legitimizing a felon. So, it's clear that for a lot of people, this Time cover feels like a slap in the face, honestly.
Definitely. And I think that really highlights that deep divide in how people see Trump and all his actions. One group sees him as this powerful leader who's being unfairly targeted, while the other sees him as, like, this threat to democracy who's being given a platform. It's really fascinating when you think about it.
Yeah, it is wild how, like, both sides keep bringing up Hitler being a past Person of the Year. It shows you that Time really does focus on the impact, not about whether they like the person or not.
No, not at all. It's not about liking them. It's about, who shaped the world, not if it was for the better or the worse. Which actually brings us to another piece of this whole puzzle, another piece I found really fascinating. Trump's appearance at the New York Stock Exchange right after the Time announcement.
Oh, yeah. Okay, picture this. Trump, he rings that opening bell, right?
Yeah.
Surrounded by, like, his whole family, God bless the USA, is playing in the background. It's a carefully crafted image, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. It's Trump back in his element, in the heart of American finance. It projects this, like, image of strength, a return to his roots after, well, after all the political craziness. And he clearly loves it. He calls it what did he say? A tremendous honor to be back at the NYSC.
And then there's that quote where he compares, cutting federal jobs to
Yeah.
like firing people on The Apprentice. It's classic Trump, right? That whole business world reality TV persona. But does it like work here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? For his supporters, probably, yeah. It probably just reinforces that whole image of him as this decisive leader, the guy willing to make the tough calls. But for anyone else, it might come across as kind of insensitive, maybe even flippant, given what job losses mean for actual people.
It's like he's constantly blurring the lines between entertainment and governing. Maybe maybe that IIS part of his appeal, honestly. The unconventional approach, the whole tell it like it is thing. But it's divisive too, right? Can't
Yeah.
ignore that.
Absolutely divisive. And, that kind of brings us to the bigger picture here. Like, what does all this tell us about the media, about American politics in 2024, and about how strong the Trump brand still is?
Okay, yeah, let's dive into all that. Like, is Time trying to rebuild bridges with Trump supporters?
Yeah.
Maybe, by giving him this platform? Are they saying, hey, look, we get it, he matters? Kind of.
Possibly. Yeah, maybe. It's possible they're trying to, appeal to a wider audience or just acknowledging that, well, you can't ignore Trump's influence, even if you hate the guy, right? But it could also backfire spectacularly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It could backfire. This could embolden Trump even more and just, like, further divide the country, right?
Yeah.
Giving him this recognition could be seen as, like, legitimizing some of his more controversial actions, and all that rhetoric.
Absolutely. It's a gamble, a total gamble for Time. But it also reflects this deeper dilemma we have right now. How do you cover someone as polarizing as Trump without alienating a huge chunk of your audience in the process? It's a question that's plaguing, like, the entire media right now.
And then there's that whole thing about how strong the Trump brand is, right? It's like he's Teflon coated, I swear. Scandals, legal troubles, everyone criticizing him and just rolls right off him. How does he DO that?
It's a bunch of things, honestly. I mean, first of all, he's a master at manipulating the media, always controlling the narrative, even when it's negative, even when it's bad for him. He knows how to play to his base, how to tap into their frustrations, their anxieties, and he never, ever backs down from an attack. He always paints himself as the victim of a system that's biased against him.
It's true. He thrives on the controversy. The more people try to take him down, the more his supporters rally around him. It's this, like, feedback loop that seems impossible to break.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see in action. It speaks to this deeper yearning for change out there, like a rejection of the status quo. And it's a feeling that's out there among a huge chunk of the American population. Trump gets that, and he's a master at exploiting it.
So where does this Time cover leave us then? I mean, does it actually change anything in the long run?
It's tough to say, honestly. It definitely throws more fuel on the fire, keeps Trump, front and center in everyone's minds. And, well, that's probably exactly what he wants, whether it helps him or hurts him politically. Only time will tell on that one. But one thing's for sure, it's a conversation starter, right? It forces us to confront all the complexities of American politics and, and the fact that a figure like Trump still has so much appeal.
It really does make you think about, like, what actually makes someone Times Person of the Year. It's not about, like, who we like or who we agree with, right?
Yeah.
It's about who had the biggest impact, undeniable impact, whether you like it or not.
Right, exactly. It's not about endorsement. And they've definitely had some controversial picks over the years, that's for sure. But, I mean, that's kind of the point, isn't it? It gets people talking, gets people debating, gets us all engaging with the forces that are shaping the world around us.
Totally. And this Trump cover, it definitely does that. It shines a light on, like, all those deep divisions in America, the power of the media, the whole allure of populism, all of it.
Yeah, for sure. But it also kind of forces us to ask ourselves some tough questions,
Yeah.
as people consuming all this media, as people who are participating in this crazy political landscape, like, how do we even navigate a world where information is so, like, fragmented and honestly so often weaponized by people? And how do we even begin to find common ground when everyone's perspectives are just so polarized?
It's a lot. Honestly, it's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But we can't ignore these questions.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, that's the biggest takeaway from all this, from this whole deep dive. It's not just about Trump, you know what I mean? It's about us. It's about understanding the forces that are shaping the world and figuring out our role in all of it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap things up here, let's turn the tables a bit. Let's put the question to you, our listener. If you were the editor of Time magazine, who would you choose as Person of the Year for 2024? And more importantly, why? What criteria would you use? Who, in your view, has had the biggest impact on the world this year, for better or for worse?
It's a good question. Think about it for a minute. I mean, it could be anyone, right? A politician, a scientist, an artist, an activist, anyone who really made a difference this year, good or bad.
Yeah. It's up to you. It's your call. We'd love to hear your thoughts, honestly. Maybe it'll even spark some conversations with your friends, your family, or, even on social media, get some debates going, because at the end of the day, that's what a deep dive like this is all about, right? It's about getting us to think critically, to have thoughtful conversations, and maybe even challenge some of our own assumptions.
Well said. And hey, thanks for joining us on this exploration of Time's Person of the Year, everybody. It was quite a ride, that's for sure. Until next time, keep those brain cells buzzing, keep questioning everything, and keep learning.